Welcome back. Okay, so now you know how to use a tuner. The next thing is making sure that you're comfortable with how to actually change the pitch of your strings. Now, the easiest way to do this, and the least dangerous in terms of snapping strings, is to use these little screws. Okay, these are called fine tuners, and what you find one of them at the end of each string, and they work just like a bottle top or a screwdriver or any of the kind of screw top thing. So you go that way, lefty loosey, to make your string looser. In other words, that makes your string lower. It flattens the string. So listen to this happening. Okay, you can hear it going lower. I'm going to make it go higher. Righty tighty. See, that's gone higher again. Right, so what I can do then is I can check it with the tuner, okay? Just like you did before. Right, so that's easy enough. Yeah, I can do that with all four strings. Okay. Then come the pegs. Now, the tuners are great. These, I would stick with these most of the time. There are two times when using a tuner really won't be any use to you. One is sometimes these can get either screwed all the way in, or they're so far out that you can't make them any looser. So you can either not make them tighter or you can't make them looser. Ideally, really, what you want is for the screw to be somewhere in the middle of the travel, of the extent it can either loosen or tighten. Now, if that's not the case, so for example, my G string here is a little bit too far in, and I find it quite hard to make mine tighter. So what I'm going to do with that is loosen it off, even though it's in tune. Okay, here we go. It's getting quite flat now. Okay, now when you make something flat with one of these, so you loosen the string, lefty loosey, you end up with a little bit of slack in between the tuner and the bridge. Okay, and you just need to just pull on the string a little bit, just not too much, reasonable amount. You won't break it, just to take it up. Otherwise, what you'll find is as you play, the notes get flatter because gradually the tension across the string evens out both sides of the bridge. So what you find then, so you loosen it off here, you end up with more looseness here than here. So you just need to pull it just to even off that tension all the way along the string, so it doesn't change tuning as you're playing. Now, so that's pretty low now. Okay, it was in tune before, but I couldn't really tune very well because this was in the wrong place and it needed sorting out. So now I've got to use the peg. Now, so which peg belongs to which string? Well, you can follow them up. Actually, it's not too hard to work out which one's which. So that's easy. The thing to know about is which way they are wound. So you can see inside the peg box here. Now, the string goes in over the top of the peg and then back round behind it. And that's the same for all the strings. That should be like that on your cello. If it's not like that, then it's been strung incorrectly, which isn't the end of the world, but it will mean that you have to do it the other way around. Okay. Ideally, this is the way round you do it. And if you ever need to replace a string, this is the way round that you will actually put your string. Now, all pegs have a little hole in them. You can't see it because the string's been wound around it. So you would feed your string, if you're going to put a new string in, feed it into that hole and then gradually tighten it up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this, not with the G string, because that's on the wrong side of the cello. I'm just going to tune that. Oops. Okay, that's roughly in tune. Now I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually undo the A string. Now this is often the string that will be hardest to do. It's the easiest one to snap. So let's make it loose first. Yeah, it's no good to anybody. It's flapping around. Completely loose. Okay, so if you want to use your tuner at this point, I think it's a very good idea. Obviously, this isn't really making a note at all. So what you can do first of all is just move it up so that it sounds like a note. You know that's low still. That's fine. But at least now you know that you've got it registering on your tuner. And for me, that's just around about a low B flat. I'll click it again. See that? Good. Now, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to change it gradually, but I need two hands to do it. And the reason for that is because a peg is tapered slightly, like a wedge. So the bit that goes right in to the middle of the peg box, so in other words, I'm talking about the A string, you've got this side here is narrower than this side here. And the reason for that is so that you can wedge it into the peg box and it will stay still. So what I've got to do is I've got to push in as I turn. I'm just going to do that. See, I'm pushing that way as I do it. Now, at this point, you should be looking at your tuner to see if you're arriving at the right note, because you don't really want to go much above the note. If you do, then you could quite easily snap your string. So at this point now, I'm going to pluck the string and make sure that I can hear the change and that I can see whether it is hitting the right note or not, whether I need to go a bit further up. So make sure that you're listening as it changes. Could you hear it change? Okay, you can hear it changing. Okay, that's mostly all you need to know. There's a couple of things just to make you aware that if you do have to tune a very flappy string up, what you'll find is you'll get it in tune. Some strings then will go quite loose still because they've been loosened off already, and that releases the tension in the string, which means that when you wind it back up again, it sounds fine, and then it stretches a bit more, and you need to make sure that you've got it. You need to keep making that happen. When you put a new string on, that happens all the time, so you will find you will get them all in tune, and then they'll all be out of tune within about 30 seconds. They'll all have gone flat. And that's just because the strings keep stretching as you tune them up. Eventually they do settle down, but don't be too worried about that. Okay, you just need to keep following this thing. Make sure you use your tuner. Make sure you don't go too high above the note, and keep pressing that peg in as you turn. Okay, good luck with it.